Hey, it's Aaron, the Metal Theologian. So we're checking out the new Soul Grinder right now. This just came in the mail. Of course I love it, because I'm a big Soul Grinder fan. I've hyped this band on this channel before, right? But this thing just came out. I mean, they're just sending out the pre-orders, so here's the cover. Come on. And they totally have that old thrashy sound, but they have like some of that sort of darkness too. It's like an early, like, sort of black metal sound a little bit, you know what I mean? Like, these guys wouldn't have been black metal in, like, 1998, but they would have been black metal in 1984, you know what I mean? When records like, well, shit, like this were coming out. You know? When this came out, this was kind of black metal. So if you like that kind of vibe, man, this fucking band has it more than most bands out and about now, so... I'm a pretty big fan of Soul Grinder. The other thing they do that I really like a lot, I don't know the song by song on this thing yet, but like the third or fourth song, we'll probably get to it. And in a few other places too. One of my favorite things that thrash bands do is when you have like that sort of thrash band sound, but slow it down a little bit. Raven Bitch does that all over the place. Soul Grinder does a really fucking fantastic job of that too. So yeah, another little shout out to Soul Grinder. Everyone go check out the album if you get a chance. And shout out to Tom from a High Rant District who originally put me onto this band. So, if you're wondering why a fucking channel in South Carolina is obsessed with a local band from Oregon, what can I say, man? It's the power of the vinyl community, right? I've been a little bit over some of the bullshit lately, actually. So, I think there are too many people streaming all the time now and shit. And it's like... Just like the shit show is kind of starting to move from like one forum to another, and like Rachel's stream is cool, you know. I've got no beef with them. I've got no beef with any of them. I've got no beef even with what they're doing. You know what I mean? It's all cool, but like when it starts spilling into all the other streams too, and it's like then it's kind of not fun anymore, you know. Anyway, I'm just mauling a little bit here, but I will say, if you do live streams, just be careful you don't accidentally, by letting people in too much and sort of being too easy with it, that you don't like let your streams turn into something you don't want them to turn into. That's not fucking good, this is. I'm probably gonna make some banana pudding tomorrow. Maybe I should do like a cooking video with that. But it's sort of a secret recipe I got from someone, so I'm not sure if I should. On the other hand, it was about this secret. I was like, hey man, someone from work named Alan. I was like, hey Alan, man, you might give me the recipe for that fucking banana pudding that's like the greatest thing I've ever had. He was like, oh yeah, sure. And he sent me an email. So I guess it's not really a secret, so maybe I'll do that. But banana pudding is fucking awesome, man. If you ever spend any time in the South, like, you know, it sort of sounds like banana pudding, but it's really like an institution, sort of like cobbler or something like that too. Now when I was moving out here, then I moved from the Bay Area. I was in the East Bay at the time, but I met my brother in San Francisco. He basically flew out he was living here at the time, but he came out just sort of for the road trip to hang out for a week in the car. We stopped to eat in like Birmingham, Alabama. You know, we've been driving. We didn't go straight, but we went pretty fast. We actually stopped at the Grand Canyon and shit. It was kind of nice. But anyway, we stopped at a place to eat in Birmingham, Alabama, and like we were all like really full and shit. But I saw they had a board and there was banana pudding, and I was like, "Holy fuck, dude! They have banana pudding! Oh my god, there's no way I can leave here without having some banana pudding." Like, started freaking out, right? I was like stuffed, but I was gonna fucking eat it anyway on principle, right? I was like, dude, you're moving to South Carolina, you're not gonna have any trouble getting banana pudding. I was like, oh shit, yeah, I guess you're right. So now I've assimilated to the point where I make my own, and I even have my own recipe, you know. It's just like a gumbo or something else where everyone has their own way of doing it, you know? I've actually kind of gotten to that point with my gumbo, which is kind of a funny thing to think, but because I don't really fancy myself like sort of like chef or anything, but you know, you make something a few times, you get used to it, and all of a sudden it sort of becomes one of those things. And it's all like music that way, isn't it? It just sort of evolves all by itself, you know? This is a fantastic groove. This is the sort of thing I was talking about, right? It's not like the full-on like thrash, like the speed, but it still has that punch, you know? And it even hits a little harder for it. Fucking Soul Grinder, man. What a band. I really hope they go on tour one of these days. I understand the logistics of that are a fucking nightmare, and they're just regular people, but still. We're all just regular people, aren't we? So I've been kind of a weird place with the music lately. The fucking battery's dead, man. This is gonna be like a light video if it comes to that shit. Yeah, you know, I was listening to all that shitty stuff last time, and so I spent like a few days listening to just reggae, and then I listened to some sort of like old metal and shit. And then a couple days ago, I put on like a Walter Bishop album, just, I don't know, because I wanted to check it out, because there's a sale at Real Gone Music, and they still had a couple of the black jazz titles left. And that was one of them. Fuck it, I might as well just show it real quick. I think it's right here. Yeah. Anyway, I was on a big metal kick when a lot of these black jazz reissues were coming out, and I'd been hunting for them, right? So I sort of scooped them up as they were coming, but I didn't really digest them when they were coming in, you know? But this is a fucking fantastic record, man. So I was recommending it to a friend of mine because they had it on sale for like $7.99 or something at Real Gone. So along with a couple others, and I was like, "Oh, is that second one as good as the first one on black jazz?" And I think I actually like it even better. I was really wanting to hear the electric keyboards, you know, and the first one has a regular piano. The first one being honored that it's his first record. But it's his earlier record on black jazz, this one, which kind of has a better cover if you ask me, you know. Kind of looks a little more based on this one. But, I mean, I like this record a lot. I'm not talking shit about this record at all, but he plays a regular piano on it. And when you want to hear a regular piano, an electric keyboard is no substitute. But when you want to hear, like, a Fender Rhodes, a real piano is no substitute either, So there it goes, right? There it is. Fucking adjust this thing. My foot's falling asleep on me here. Anyway, I was just surprised at how much I needed a dose of jazz. I haven't really listened to very much in kind of a long time, you know? Sort of been in the background here. I just sort of shifted it too, because I had to like make more space for some records. Well, everyone has shelving issues if you collect records, so if you don't yet, you will. If you don't have shelving issues, it's because you're not doing it right. Yeah, so I don't know, man. We'll just talk about a few of these, I guess. This is a fucking record that I came to kind of late, man. This is, I mean, it's considered a classic record. It's a classic Lee Perry production. But I don't know, man. I didn't really like the falsetto singing until I listened to it maybe 5 times or something like that. I probably had the thing for, you know, I probably listened to it more than 5 times, actually. Because I probably had it for about 10 years before I really got into it, you know. Not a record to disrespect, but I really just fell in love with it kind of recently, and now it's like it's totally one of those records where this tune stays stuck in my head. Almost, not quite, but almost like the fucking goat of reggae, which is pretty much what this is. The Conquering Lion by Yabby You. This is a relatively recent reissue, which I would totally encourage you to get. It's a 2-in-1. See that there are 2 grails in there? And I usually don't like that. I usually scoff at you know, bonus tracks and that sort of shit. But what this one is, you have the original album, and it actually sounds really good in contrast to the earlier version of it that I have. There's like a Jamaican pressing that is really shit quality, but I still play the hell out of it because it's so fucking good. But the other one is just the dub album, you know? Another thing I kind of appreciate about Yabby You is that you know, I always thought it'd be funny to have like a radio show, like an episode where I just played a song called The Antichrist. And like you have Slayer and you have Destruction, but like it's mostly metal, right? But then you also get Yabby You. It's sort of a different spin on it, I think, but maybe a little less celebratory, but yeah. There you go. Dude, here's a really cheesy jazz one I played. Look at that. These Japanese ones are fucking awesome in this Deep Jazz reality series. I don't really know anything about any of these, but I sort of grab them when I see them, you know? And frankly, they're not cheap, so I'm not necessarily encouraging y'all to run out, but But Zero Sen is a really good band. I mean, very 70s in kind of a dated way, sort of second half of the 70s. Like, you know, especially there's singing on at least one song that's totally like sort of sweet. But I don't know, man. This record just grooves in a way that just hits me just right. The first time I listened to this, I thought it was a piece of shit. And the second time I listened to it, I was like, this is actually fucking fantastic, and I love it. So, yeah. That's Zero Sen. It's funny, there are a couple in here that I kind of want to play little clips up, but I'm not done hyping this one yet. So I'm still trying to be judicious in the order I play these in. This is another great one. I just discovered this one within the last 10 years or so. By Rico Rodriguez, man from Warraca, I guess. And I kind of think the thing of Haile Selassie with the barcode on his forehead is kind of funny. It's like he took the mark, man. But what a great cover, man. And Rico's a trombone player. This record is instrumental. There's actually a dub album that you can get too, but I don't know, man. The dub album for this one almost feels superfluous. You know, I mean, it's cool. I'm not gonna say it's. I'm not gonna say it's not. I'm not gonna say that this almost scratches the same itch, because it really kind of doesn't with all the brass and all that stuff, without the effects and the dub and the sort of weirdness of it. You know. But this record is just so tuneful and so memorable and just such a gem. So, yeah, it really has my highest recommendation when it comes to reggae shit, if you like that roots sound, and if you don't mind it being instrumental. If you like jazz a little bit, that'll help. But it's a really easy record to get into. I'm not trying to make it sound like, oh, if you don't like Ascension by John Coltrane, then you're not going to like Man from Warraca. Because the opposite's probably true. All right, so we're going to check something else out here. So a couple weeks ago, on Heavy Metallurgy, they had Dan Edmond on, who was the dude from the Colosseum website. And, like, if you've been collecting this shit for a while, you've probably come across that site, especially beyond sort of a certain level. The history, as I sort of in my reconstruction, without actually having discussed it with any of the players or anything, was the first thing I noticed when I first started getting into the more obscure like metal shit was there's a website called Metal Treasures, which is mostly in German. Like the forum was all in German, and most of the reviews were in German, probably 3/4 of them, where the rest was probably in English, but not necessarily. So that was a place for like reviews and shit like that, where you could sort of get opinions on like the really expensive ones that you weren't likely to see very often, right? Then that thing sort of folded up and got absorbed in another site called the Metal Page, which was also a German site but had a lot more English. It was a little bit more sort of internationally focused. And they got the old Metal Treasure stuff, and somehow. And so that sort of represented the next iteration of that. And then finally all this stuff has sort of come into under the umbrella of the Colosseum. Dan actually started his website, at least while the Metal Page was still around, if not earlier. It's like way earlier than like, it's not like a post-Metal Page thing. It's more like he was the last man standing, and the people didn't want to like just all this shit to disappear, because as collectors we care about this stuff, right? So Dan ended up with custody of it, and there it is, you know? But Dan's site was always cool anyway, because he had like weird and eccentric tastes and shit. And like I've gotten so many like suggestions just like from him off his site, that it's occurred to me to worry that like if you know that website and you watch my channel, you might go, oh, it's all just fucking Dan shit, you know? I don't think you'd really do that, but I do like a lot of the same shit he likes. And a lot of the shit that he likes I'm not as into, I still appreciate, you know? So one of the sort of white whales of a person who sort of is a fan of like the sort of obscure shit that gets talked about on there and that, because he's turned me on to some good shit metal, but like one of the bands that he just made sound like the shittiest ever was this fucking band Custer. And I actually went looking for the review the other day and I can't find it. But I've sort of kept an eye out for this shit forever, but it's one of those things where like the Wheels of Steel record is a more extreme version of it, because people are asking like $600 for that, and that record really is just almost unlistenable. You've heard it here if you watch every video. This one isn't quite that shitty, but this one is very shitty. So it's another one of those deals where like I wasn't going to spend what some of the people were hoping to get out of their fucking copies, because they're lunatics. So this one was kind of cheap. And look how fucking stupid this art is, man. And it is pretty shitty, man, which is why I sort of wanted to feature it a little bit. Because this is the mighty Custer from Belgium. The little brother of the Netherlands that pretty much kicked the Netherlands' ass during the 80s when it came to metal. Sorry to Dutch viewers, man, but you know it's true. You had Defender, Leader's pretty good. I really like that Jewel La Morta record. Anything with Frankie Woodhouse, like the Lady Killer EP, that's great. There are a few others, and there are a lot of like enjoyable ones, right? But it's like most like the real like sort of bangers seem to be coming out of Belgium for my money. So anyway, yeah, there's the back. Long live the hard rock, Custer. I don't know what that's even supposed to fucking mean. Anyway, this is really kind of clueless, isn't it? Like, this is pretty shitty, but I think it's completely clueless. Like, I don't know who they're trying to appeal to, because this is almost like it has a punky vibe to it, to the point where I could see this appealing to punk rockers more than metal people, but just based on the riffing style and the way it's sort of, the attack and shit, it just feels like they're trying to be metal. They just don't completely understand it, man. But this is a fucking Custer, man. Fucking, I don't know, you can't argue with perfection. Anyway, when I was watching that thing a couple weeks ago, I was pulling out like, because I've sort of been in like a little bit of a low point of what to listen to. So I actually pulled out a bunch of shit when I was watching that heavy metallurgy video. So here I'm going to give you a second opinion on a couple things that were held in high regard about a week and a half ago, and also on this channel all the time. And this is just, you know something? This might be my favorite Running Wild. This is the one that got me into them. I found this in the wild. Actually, this is the copy. I'm kind of happy to show this off because this is what a turd, right? The other side's even worse. Yeah, this is actually a test pressing. And I found this at Rasputin Records in Berkeley for about either $4 or $6 back in the 90s. So this is actually one that I got during the 90s, like the halcyon days that people romanticize. So, and this is the one where I was like, I sort of ignored him at the time because I thought Running Wild was a dumb name. And I was right about that. Running Wild is a dumb name. It really kind of sucks, and it really sounds like, you know, it's kind of funny when everyone's naming their bands after Judas Priest songs. But when you get to the bottom of the barrel, it still gets a little bit sad, you know. Here's the B-side, man. Because on the Metal Theologian channel, we take our Custer seriously. We don't do our Custer halfway. So we listen to both sides of the single. And when I turn up more someday, because it's bound to happen eventually, we're going to listen to that shit too. Unless maybe I'll like deconvert from this shit and I'll quit listening to shit and I'll start listening to like, I'll come in and be like, hey, you got to hear the Steely Dan record. Well, except I can't actually play it because of the fucking copyright shit, right? I'll be like, yeah, you got to hear the Steely Dan record. Listen to the musicianship. This Donald Fagen guy really knows what's up. You know? And I'll be one of those tools like, oh yeah, John McLaughlin, man, the intricate guitar playing. Wouldn't that be a fucking great thing to see on this channel? I wouldn't be the fucking Metal Theologian anymore. They're more like the Metal Tool. Not that Metal Theologian means anything anyway, it's just a fucking joke. So sometimes you're walking around, you like have a song in your head. And like, sometimes it's something cool and sometimes it's something annoying, but sometimes it's something that's kind of a little bit of both and kind of funny. Well, that happened a few years ago, a few nights ago, and I found myself humming Lords of the Night by Dark Avenger, which is off the mighty death metal sampler, which I hope everyone has it, but I know you don't. I don't want to be a dick about it, but this is a fucking great record. If you're not familiar with it, it's the first vinyl appearance of the mighty Helloween. And other than the Apocalyptic Raids EP, it was also the only vinyl appearance of the mighty Hellhammer. So you also had the mighty Dark Avenger on here. And of course the mighty Running Wild. And dude, every fucking song on this thing is great. I think Black Fairies by Dark Avenger is probably the weakest song on here. Even though it has the best unintentionally gay song name. But, yeah, fucking everything, man. And there's only, as far as I know, there's only one song here. Metal Invaders made it to, I think, Walls of Jericho. It's on one of the Halloween LPs, but that's it. And this other one, like, Ernst of Life or whatever it's called, which there's no one has been able to tell me what the fuck. Anyway, yeah, that sounds like a joke song, but it's totally, like, it's fucking solid too, man. It's really good, you know? So here's another one I pulled out because Dan was talking about it. I kind of forgotten about this one, man. I'm actually going to put this one on for a minute, though, because it's not as bad as this one, but it's just as bad shit. Yeah, first of all, I didn't call attention to this yet, but I will in a second. But you know that they spelled their name wrong. And you know that when a band spells their own name wrong, that's a good sign as far as like something I want to listen to. God, how many of those are there? There's that band called Prophecy that spelled it with an A. Prophacy. I know there's a Prophecy from Germany, but I don't think it was them. I mean, I think there was more than one Prophecy from Germany. Anyway, so this Sacrifice is from Germany. It's funny because something like a misspelled name I expect more from like a Spanish band or an Italian band. It's such a weird way to start the song, you know? But I'm not arguing with it, man, because it's fucking really good. And the singer on this is great, man. He's kind of crazy, you know? His name is Ace G. Right there. And this is Lady Killer, followed by When the Wolf Cries. He sort of sounds like, he sounds like a really bad Blackie Lawless. What I'm trying to figure out is what would have happened to Blackie Lawless to make him sound like this. Maybe a lot less practice. Like maybe this is what Blackie sounded like in like, I don't know, when was he young? I know he was already around like in the 70s. Maybe in like 1970 this is what Blackie Lawless sounded like or something. Like before practice and before his voice like really sort of settled, you know? Anyway, I love this fucking record, man. The first experience with The Unknown. And unfortunately, the only experience with The Unknown. Although, I can't say I've ever pined for a second Sacrifice record, because this is also one of those records where, I mean, here, look at this, right? That's totally one where if there were another one, it might spoil it, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying about that? Like, fucking Soul Grinder doesn't have that. Of course, Soul Grinder already has more than one record, and I love them all. And I love the demo tape, too. But, you know, they put out another one like this, it's probably gonna fucking rock. If Sacrifice like got some budget for a cover like that, I have a feeling it wouldn't quite be the same, man. Even if it were better, because who gives a shit about better, right? Fucking better, man. Anyone can listen to good records. If you're committed, you listen to bad records. Here's another one I pulled up, man, and I'm always surprised at how fucking heavy this record is. Sometimes this one strikes me right and sometimes it doesn't, but it did when I played it, man. I kept thinking, God, who the hell is this, man? I'd be like, is this a Pretty Maids record? This rocks that hard? This record's on Epic, you know? I mean, look, they even have that lame home taping is killing music thing, right? That's for Duran Duran fans, man, not for metal fans. I don't know, man. It's a lot of guys in the band. And not as I mean, that mustache is so good, I'll give him 2 mustaches worth of credit. I was about to start shitting on him for not having enough mustache action, but you know something? If you put your best foot forward, which they clearly did, because they're all in the back and he's right out front with that fucking mustache, I'll give him a pass. So just forget about that. I won't even go down that path. But this record's really good, man. Like, even though they're called Pretty Maids, and even though Future World is kind of wimpy, although I love that one too, this record really kind of smokes. The EP does too, but the EP is a lot harder to find. So if you come across this one, it's a really good record. Trying to decide if I'm running out of things to say or not. Oh, here's another shitty one I wanted to hype a little bit. Oh, another jazz one I wanted to show. But the jazz I'm just going to show because the cover's so good. I've listened to a little bit of soul jazz too. I've been going more for sort of like the Fender Rhodes sound than like the Hammond organ sound. But I still love Big John Patton, and I've played by Big John Patton records a lot. So now I reach for the Lou Donaldson records that I've gotten more recently. But I also have Big John Patton because it totally like gets me through it, you know. Especially just playing with Grant Green too. Anyway, yeah, I gotta hype this band too. Fucking Dwar. Yeah, I was telling Jurgen about these guys last week, and it occurred to me that I should tell everybody about Dwar because this is really like Dwar is like why you listen to shit. Because that's really, I mean, so Sacrifice. I mean, that fucking record we were just listening to, I genuinely love that record, right? But that one also, like, that's more like a really good record with a couple sort of shit metal characteristics. This one's like real shit. And it's really special because of it, too. I mean, look at that fucking label, dude. It's actually a reissue. And I don't know who did these or why. But there are 2 DWARR records. Some fucking guy, actually from South Carolina, from up in Columbia. And this is the first one. Where the fuck did I put it? Yeah, and this one I tracked down, but that second one I couldn't find, so, dude. So I got the reissue of Animals, and they did a really nice job. They even did like these thick tip-on covers, and these things weren't expensive. They were like, I mean, they might have been $20, but I think they were even a little bit less than that. They were like 17 or 18 at the time. So look at that though, man. All these fucking weird guys, these cannibals and shit. Oh, there you go. You know it's gonna be good if it's a fucking drawn that shittily. Now listen to this shit. Like, he's totally rocking, right? But what's up with that fucking synth? And this isn't like 1974 where you would, like, understand. This is 1986. So, like, this sounds so isolated that, like, for this to make sense, you kind of have to remember that there are a lot fewer people living in South Carolina in the 80s. Because, like, right now, there's still too much population here, even though it's fucking South Carolina, you know? This sounds more like it would come out of fucking South Dakota or something, you know? I think it's great. I kind of love how, even though this is kind of a stupid cover concept, I mean, it's made up for in the execution, right? And believe me, all is forgiven when you flip it over and see the skull. Here's actually another little South Carolina thing. All lyrics and instruments written and performed by DWARR, except lyrics to Job's Revenge taken from Job 5, 2-9. So it appears the dude's religious. This isn't Jesus metal, though. This shit's secular. You know, maybe he takes a little bit of influence, but, like, if there's anything preachy in this, I haven't really caught on to it. And it is true that I don't listen to the lyrics very closely. Fucking a couple pictures in there too. That's like what you expect him to look like, isn't it? Great record, man. These are probably still cheap because no one seems to know or care about this band, so they're very high recommendation from me. So there we go, man. I think that's what we've got for today. Got a couple other running wilds here too, but I'm just going to show them to make you jelly because I already talked about them. The Noise Press. We have this guy too, of course. And I need a lot more of the pirate shit because I came to that stuff late. For a long time, I only liked the black metal stuff. And then like a few years, like 10 years after that, after I just got into that shit, I was like, oh man, fucking Under Jolly Roger is actually great, and I was just fucking dumb. So now I'm catching up. But that's the way it goes. Thanks for watching. See you next time.